kids are juveniles, and normally hearings for kids are not public. But in this case, the boys are charged as adults, and tonight they are both being held without bail here at Prince George's County's Department of Corrections. The video showed only one attacker with a gun, and the investigator described how the semi-auto pistol jammed repeatedly, likely saving the victim's life, as the attacker held the gun to the victim's head and chest while accomplices held him down.
Should know who their children are hanging out with, because even if it's your child, if your child does not have the weapon, but they're with the person with the weapon, they intend to do harm, they will be charged as if they had the weapon. We are serious about prosecuting everyone who is a gun offender here in Prince George's County.
So what about the gunman that's still out there? We learned from testimony today he's a 15-year-old who has still not been caught. The gun is not recovered, even though he's been handled by juvenile court before and released in other cases. And we also learned that the 14-year-old victim in this case knew his attackers by name, according to detectives, but refused for 3 days to tell police. Investigators say they identified the masked suspects only after finding out the victim had texted a friend the attackers' names shortly after the assault.
Shot and killed a woman in the hallway of a Northeast apartment building. It happened today on Jamison Street in the Fort Lincoln neighborhood just after 11 a.m. D.C. police, some with long guns, searched the apartment complex for the shooter but did not find one. News 4's Paul Wagner has the latest on the investigation.
More than a dozen police officers and detectives descended on the Jamison apartment building just after 11 this morning after getting a call to investigate the trouble. As officers learned of the shooting, they fanned out across the property and inside the parking garage looking for the shooter.
And when they arrived on the scene, what we found on the actual fourth floor of this apartment building was an adult female who was suffering from a gunshot wound to her body, to her face. At that time. And so we're still really investigating. We're looking.
On Monday, May 1st, cops say 3 people dressed in black boarded a school bus near Iverson Street and Sutler Drive in Oxon Hill, Maryland. As a bus driver was completing an after-school drop-off route, police say 3 teenage boys began beating the lone remaining student on the bus, pushing him towards the back. According to cops, 15-year-old rapper Baby K pointed a pistol at the student, pulling the trigger with intentions to kill 3 times before fleeing from the bus. The gun would malfunction, which likely saved the young boy's life. Although Baby K was unsuccessful in his assassination attempt on that school bus, police say he would not be so unlucky just weeks later, when he pulled the trigger, ending the life of one of the boys he committed the first crimes with his sister. All of this was captured on camera from the bus. Sources who've seen the actual video say screen grabs can't begin to show the ferocity of the attack. But you can see each of the 3 teens who jumped aboard a school bus Monday at a stop along Iverson Street and Hillcrest Heights and attempted to murder the middle schooler. Where can they run? Where can they hide? PG County has become a war zone, with kids killing kids. But why? But why the beef on the bus? A teenage girl, according to police reports, set up the teen on the bus and wanted him dead. 28th versus 23rd Parkway beef among teens that have become killers. Diss songs, threats, and promises of violence fulfilled on PG. Baby K 2800 in one of his songs says he got hit with that shit but couldn't get up. If he's caught out of bounds, he's going in the trunk. He keeps dissing us in songs but got no gun. At 15 years old, Baby K was and is living his lyrics in his songs. Repping his hood hard could cost him many years of his life. Protecting the image that he projects, cops say he has become the killer he claims to be in his music. After the beating and the attempted murder on the school bus, it was not long before the police knew who was involved. 2 boys, a 14-year-old and a 15-year-old from Temple Hills and Suitland, Maryland, were charged as adults. So was the 14-year-old girl from Oxon Hill, who allegedly set things up. But Baby K was on the run trying to hide where he could. Kaijah McCoy of Northeast D.C. would lose her life 2 days after the school bus incident. But why and who is she? According to some reports, she was the adult sister of one of the 14-year-old kids charged in the bus attack. Kaijah was shot and killed inside a residential building in the 3700 block of Jamison Street Northeast on May 3rd. D.C. cops responded to a report of a shooting at 11:11 a.m. and would find Kaijah lifeless, laying in her own blood. 2 children, now left motherless. Police say it was Baby K pulling the trigger because she refused to help Baby K or hide him out as he contemplated his next move. For the bus incident, Baby K is charged as an adult with attempted first-degree murder, attempted second-degree murder, assault, firearm offenses, and additional charges. And now the U.S. Marshals are on his ass for the murder of Kaijah McCoy. Why are so many people killing their own people? Is it for their neighborhood? A neighborhood that they will never own? Is it all senseless beefs? Why the diss songs? Why do they turn into killings? Why the diss songs anyway? In the 1990s, hip-hop had a shocking moment with the loss of Christopher Wallace, Biggie Smalls, and Tupac Shakur. Both shot to death in the street within 6 months. Both artists that many loved, including myself. I remember the days watching Big on the jukebox with that Illmatic beat from Juicy. From to all the teachers that told me I'd never amount to nothing, to all the people that lived above the buildings that I was hustling in front of, called the police on me when I was just trying to make some money to feed my daughter. It's all good. To it was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, Salt and Pepper and Heavy D up in the limousine, hanging pictures on my wall every Saturday, Rap Attack, Mr. Magic, Marley Marl. I let my tape rock till my tape pop. Many carry that trauma of both of their deaths for years. Biggie was an incredible storyteller and a promising entrepreneur. Tupac was making an impact as an artist, actor, and activist. After they died, many music lovers thought there would be an East Coast versus West Coast war, but that never happened. Back in the day, you could expect a fistfight, an MMA-type brawl backstage, but those incidents seem mild-mannered compared with the violence people commit nowadays in hip-hop and in the streets. Of course, there were some shootings, but nothing like you see now. The streets have claimed too many young lives. Rappers and hip-hop has and continues to lose big names every year, and youngsters to prison or death that could have or could be big names. Perhaps Baby K could have made it, and Chef G was clearly on his way. Both will likely lose their lives to the penitentiary. The headlines are everywhere. Just weeks after he was arrested on charges of terroristic threats, Bronx rapper Nas EBK is once again in police custody, this time on a second-degree murder charge. Another headline reads, a Washington, D.C. man has been convicted in the 2019 shooting death of a rapper at a Woodbridge recording studio. And another one, 2 men were arrested Wednesday in the D.C. murder of an up-and-coming rapper from Memphis, Tennessee. Albert Smith, who performed as CEO Bezel, was shot to death in Southeast D.C. in June 2020. One of the men now in custody for the murder worked at a D.C. high school as a teaching aide. It's not clear whether the 2 suspects knew that the 21-year-old they're accused of shooting after a craps game was a budding rapper whose video Rockstar had over 100,000 views on YouTube. Headlines showing many lost lives from prison to the grave. The frequency with which young men and women are losing their lives to gun violence is painful. Kaijah McCoy, Nipsey Hussle, Pop Smoke, King Von, PNB Rock, Young Dolph, Takeoff. What young mother will be next? Who is the next young dude to die in PG County? Who will be the new young rapper who throws his life away with a senseless killing? Who will be the next Nipsey Hussle, Pop Smoke, or Takeoff? All were young, successful, talented individuals, millionaires, creating generational wealth for their loved ones, who all lost their lives to senseless violence. And the killers, they too lost their lives to the penitentiary. It could be your image circulating news being ushered into court like Chef, facing life in prison. Or it could be your image like that of Nipsey or Takeoff circling online. A young life forever lost. For many, it's not only the loss that's hard to process, but the visuals. The regularity of killings is at an all-time high. Who's next? Is it just a young woman from D.C.? Or some 14-year-old on a school bus? Or some new rapper that is finally making it out the hood? Or is it you? Back in the day, Motown musicians were not out killing each other. People were not laying down their lives for their neighborhood they grew up in. They may have got it in with the hands once in a while, but not with the flash of a muzzle. Kids were routinely murdered in the street. And up-and-coming artists at the height of their career in R&B were not killing each other. Nor were long-haired rock stars shooting each other over nothing. The inner city is plagued with violence, anger, and hatred for their own people. It seems to be like the MMA octagon that so many young people seem to relish in. It's the cage. It's the trap. A lot of violent things pop off, but it's still home for so many people that just want a better life. If that's what people really want, just think about how much better it can get if everyone came together instead of killing each other. You see it everywhere. One of the biggest reasons for the violence has gotten worse is because of social media. Young people are trying too hard to flex online, to go hard, to the detriment of their safety, their lives, and their freedom. And once they sell a ticket, they have to cash it. Again, they feel they have to protect the image that they project. So many beefs that end with murder are all for nothing. When you really look at the cards, sometimes it will not be until you're sitting in a cell with a life sentence before you realize it was all about nothing, and that nothing took your life. Rest in peace, Kaijah McCoy.
You want me to keep it 100 with you? I'm going to keep it 100. I actually feel bad for this 15-year-old kid, right? I also feel bad for that mother who dies, and I feel bad for her two kids who are going to grow up without a mom. But I feel bad for this kid because he doesn't even realize what he's doing. He doesn't realize what the consequences are for his actions. He doesn't realize that his life is, in the words of Troy Kell, fucked off. He just fucked his whole life off, man. He's going to prison probably. Or what's he going to do when the police run up on him? This kid might bang it out. I say that because that's what I think. But usually, they just end up getting arrested. But so many young people are losing their lives. Why? You're on social media. You're beefing over what? Over someone putting up a like. And, you liking that kid's music? Yo, he's not even from our side, yo. And people just start beefing over neighborhoods. Man, you don't own this neighborhood. I used to feel like that in prison. There's the white TV, this is the black TV, this is the white chair, this is the black chair, this is this Mexican TV. Like, man, ain't none of this shit ours, man. But you're willing to die for it. You're willing to die over this. I respect that, no one wants to get punked or feel like, you're littler than someone else or get belittled. So, but it's just, man, over a neighborhood, over a beef for what? Everybody wants out, right? Nobody likes living in misery and pain. If they knew another way, they probably wouldn't be out there, selling dope, man, busting guns and beefing with people. There's another way. You just got to get to it. Imagine if everybody came together, like I said, and you worked together to get out of poverty, to stop this vicious cycle of poverty and prison. Man, if you work together, man, we ain't got to kill each other, man. You ain't got to kill people. You ain't got to kill your homeboy. You ain't got to kill the dude that lives 3 blocks down the street, but grew up the same way as you're growing up. He just wants to make it out too. Choosing the wrong way, man. Let this be another teachable moment, right? Like, you could be losing your life like Chef or, like Nipsey Hussle or over nothing, right? And what kind of life's he going to have in prison? The cat that killed Nipsey. His life's horrible. On the downslide. That's what it is. But anyway, I hope that you learned something from this Blood on the Razor Wire TV. With respect, until tomorrow, we're out.